Three, two, one. All right, hello everyone. This is the Cutting Edge Podcast, Episode 2. I am Sunzit, and I am joined by the Black Magic 2 developer, Budoti. How you doing today, Budoti?
Uh, I'm doing all right.
All right, good to know, good to know. So, I've heard that you've been having a lot of help and development on the next update and patch of the game. What are some things that you can tell us that won't leak anything major or get you fired?
Yeah. It's so funny to just like it's funny to hear questions just like kind of asked. Development right now is kind of at a weird pace. So I'd say that our like what we're working on right now is the dev classes. Which, if anyone listening doesn't know, is what the developers or the scripters do to it's kind of like their rite of passage into actually working on BM2. So Nazo made Faint, Justin made Shoot Style. Zever didn't actually make one, but whatever. He wasn't really that much of a dev anyway. And then what's his face? Lol, that's Derp is making a class called Chrono Pugilist, which I can show a bit if you want. And Tentagram is also making a class called Interior's Blessing. So that's what we're kind of doing recently. And the progress on that is going pretty well. But for other updates, I'm also planning an event update. I can't really specify what it is, but it's going to be an event update. Ooh, cool event update. Ooh, but yeah, so I'm kind of working on that in the sidelines. And we're obviously just on like in the backlog. Like what Osama's doing is he's working on finalizing like the ranked season O or season 0 or whatever, so that everyone can get their sweet loot and they're finally after 2 million years that they just get their coins and skins and stuff. We're actually really almost done with it. We're just waiting for like the last 2 master skins to be finalized because they're very pretty, but they're complicated to say the least.
Yeah.
So
There was
modeling them is already in it.
there's been a lot of fire under Rainbow recently, which is because some of the arenas would sort of break or they would only allow a certain number of matches, and then about an hour into the server's lifetime, they would go to not active and they would stay that way.
Yeah, we have noticed that. That's the only thing is the 2 devs that know about it aren't very active right now because Osama's currently doing finals right now, and like doing, and Justin also just finished his finals like 2 days ago. So we have noticed the problem, but unfortunately we haven't been able to fix it as of late. But we plan on doing it eventually. It's not gonna be like lol, we're just gonna have it so people can't join ranked games, but that's I know it's annoying and infuriating where like goes into ranked server, sees all the arenas are down, cries. But I think we're gonna fix it eventually, so I don't think that's gonna be a problem for too much longer, but keeping our fingers crossed.
So, what is it like to work with the development team for Black Magic 2?
It kind of depends on the person. So
Just in the sense
there's actually
of
a lot of
communicating
like
with everybody and such,
oh it's
or
fairly easy because we're kind of all on the team for the same reason, and that's just to kind of produce a good product. Like none of us are really in it for the money, nor do we really care about the money. So I mean, like at the end of the day, we're just kind of it's more like friends that are just working on a passion project. So we kind of communicate pretty well. It's more like friends talking than actual devs, but it's just we have talents and stuff. So I think like the communication wise is not bad at all. I think the only bad thing is that some people they have lives, so obviously we can't always get in touch with them. So like Justin recently, he's been going on with his life, so we haven't really been able to communicate to him that much. But showing signs of coming back as of recent. So that's good.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people complaining about not updating the game and whatnot because there have been a lot of people over the years that will always complain about that. And what I mentioned in my previous podcast episode with Bakalo, those people need to understand, or they should at least be taught that these developers have their own lives and they're not going to be there updating the game for your enjoyment 24/7.
Yeah. That is a good point. What Bakalo said is really like correct. Um, but I think people also need to realize that, you know, not that we just also have lives, but we're not doing this for money. We're doing it for the people, but we're also doing it for ourselves. Mostly because Osama had a dream, and that dream is to make this game and to make it flourish and to make it have higher player count and just be a good game, right? So Osama spent a lot of time in making the game feel nice, look nice, sound nice, like all that stuff. So I understand when people are like, "Oh, why isn't there an update? Why isn't there a new class? What are you guys doing?" Sure, it's unfortunate, and I personally am not for kind of this kind of lazy style, but I think a lot of it's just kind of happened to the unfortunate nature of just Osama. He's a busy guy, as of late, so he's not as like super not into it, but he's not as super active as he usually used to be. So the workflow has kind of died down because he's the leader, right? And um, usually without a leader, it'll like the workflow stops, the gears stop turning. But sooner or later, I think something will be done about that, and I think the workflow will come up. So who knows? We just have to wait till the future, I guess. But something that I do think people need to realize is that we put quality over quantity, like pretty much at all costs. And sometimes people don't realize how long it takes to make this stuff. Like let's give an example, right? Akuma wrappings or I don't know, pillow skin, right? Those skins were in theory crafting ever since the class came out. Granted, we didn't work on it ever since the class came out, but
I remember kind of a funny thing that happened with the pillow skin that actually featured in one of my first highlights video is that it actually got leaked. Uh, it was accidentally put into the game after an update.
oh, really? That's funny. I didn't actually know that. But yeah, but like some skins, like the pillow skin has like most of the sound effects are all new, made by my boy Rizm. Um, like so, and then obviously there's the model, but don't tell anybody except this is recorded, so technically everybody listening to this is hearing this. But the pillow skin is actually not a model made by us. I forgot the reasoning as to why, but I think we were all really tired and we wanted to do it as a joke. So what we did is this is the only thing this is the only model in the entire game that is not made by us.
I'm sure you won't get
We went
exposed over a pillow.
ooh a pillow. No, we went. I think because either Cursa was offline, or Oni was offline, or I was on offline, or Q was offline, or whatever. Um, we they went to Sketchfab, which is like this 3D weapon, 3D modeling website to showcase it. And some users allow you to like copy the model, so they got like a kind of a square pillow model, and then they just like scaled it upward, to make the pillow. So that's the only model in the game that's taken by someone else, which is kind of funny. But
Oh, sorry about that.
so besides that, like, the effects were new, the sound effects were new. Um, Obviously, like the Akuma wrapping skin had a little bit more effort put into it because obviously there needed to be new hit sound effects, new hit VFX, new VFX on SP4, new VFX on SP7, new VFX on SP5. Kind of a lot of stuff going on. So it's just kind of like a lot of work. But like new classes are even harder than it realizes because the thing is, some other fighting game developers they kind of have an idea, they make it, and then they just release it, and then they patch it out like after. But now that we have a tester team, and now that we have like a semi large dev team, it works as like we we make the class, but we have people talk about it and edit it and ask for new effects, ask for new VFX, sound effects, um, new like the way it feels, how if it has more end lag, if it needs more hit stun, if it needs a faster animation, if it needs to be a different animation. We kind of have people that tell us that. So an example is I animated Citadel and part of Revenant. So an example would be like Revenant SB6. We went through like 5 iterations of Revenant SB6. Granted, it was the same kind of idea, but if I can get one for you, we had it was an example where it was an SB6 from Budoti as Link. But so what it was that instead of like the kind of the stab and then the kind of like energy suck, whatever you call it, and then you just blasted it, or you just like slammed it. It would be you would stab them, and then you would kind of like charge up with your hand, and then you'd like shoot them off. So the original reference was to if you've ever played Monster Hunter, it's in reference to the gun lance. So the gun lance is like this kind of big spear type looking thing, and it's like has all this like fire effects and whatever. So like an example would be I'll provide I'll provide a video. Granted, this is still in the works, so it's not it wasn't very well looking, but so like we were working on it. We're like, hey, why not we make it like this, where you would just kind of stab them and then it would like charge up and then they'd blast back. Like it was such a massive explosion from the charge up that you would like your character would get sent flying backwards. Um, Obviously, that wasn't in the game, but you know, and that was testers that helped us kind of reimagine it, and also developers too. But so, like the dev process is a lot slower than it. Like, sure, Osama has stated in the past that if we have like maximum capacity, maximum workflow, we could probably have a single class done every month, which is definitely possible because Osama did Karai and Avalon in 2 weeks each. But granted, he didn't sleep at that point, so he kind of overworked himself, and they didn't turn out as great as they should. Granted, it wasn't like 2 weeks and then release. Obviously, it was like 2 weeks and then the patch notes. But he made from scratch to semi-final product in 2 weeks for each of them. So it's definitely possible for us to have a faster speed at this. And the thing is, like, people are always asking, "Hey, like, when's a new class?" Or "Hey, when's the when are you gonna do the balance updates?" Or "Hey, when is this blah 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 blah." But I think the thing that is least around our minds right now is a new class, because if we look at it, there's definitely a lot of classes that have flaws. Um, like Virtue, that's why we're reworking it because it has a lot of flaws. It has no end lag. It's very slippery. It does a lot of damage. It's just kind of a good class in general. And you're like, "Hey, Budoti, but it has 800 HP. Only 2 combos will kill it." Well, true, but it's hard to hit him in the first place. Plus, there's no end lag, so you can't really punish anything they throw out. But like new classes they're on our mind. I can't say what they are. I can't say their names. I can't say what they do. We have 4 classes in mind for the new class batch. They're all corruption, but we can't say what they are or what they will do. So unfortunately, I can't say that. But we have classes in consideration, and currently the dev classes, I was just working on them. Lol that Stirp is almost done with all of his auto combos, air combos, neutral stuff, and it's making him feel very good. Tentagram is almost done with all of his neutrals. He was actually reworking heavy auto in the VC before I came to this. And he also has 2 specials done. And we already laid out all the specials. We laid out all the animations. We have all the ideas for the effects. It just kind of needs to have the workflow to, drive it home. So, and once those are done, obviously they're not going to be released to the public. Maybe in the future, we don't know if the class is patched out well enough, maybe in the future. But it's the good realization behind it is that um, we oh my god, we the good realization is that when they are done with those classes, then that means we can start working on the new ones. It's kind of like all the stars are aligning. Once ranked is over, once virtue rework is done, once they finish their dev classes, that means Osama doesn't have to work on anything, Justin doesn't have to work on anything, and Loy that's derp, and Tentagram don't have to work on anything. So boom, that's all four devs working on new classes, which is what we're looking for, which is what we're trying to do. So I can't give an estimation of when a new class would come out, nor can I give an estimation on when a big update will come out. But I can assure you that an update that is decently scaled will come out very soon. I can't say what it is. It's a surprise. But it is going to come out soon. It's going to come out eventually. So that's something to look forward to. And I'm very excited for it because I'm the lead. I guess I could say I'm the lead director for it. So that's always fine and good. Sorry I ranted on that one subject.
I
We
know
gotta
that was a lot to take in. Thank you for sharing that. But I kind of want to discuss because you were part of the going to the first early development of Black Magic 2, correct?
Yep.
Do you have any funny or interesting stories from when the game was first being made?
Um, so I was part of the moderation team, and I was really good friends with Osama, and I was part of the testers early on. I wouldn't say I was part of the dev team until after Karai, Avalon, and Virtue, but I was a tester, and I was good friends with Osama, so he always talked to me about it. So funny stories, I guess there aren't really a lot because usually whenever we're working, we kind of are just like focus on like what we're actually doing. But you know, the game used to be a lot different from what it was. There was a lot of memes in the community that was made. There was a lot of, I mean, like some things that we did with like early kind of stages of dev, like the Christmas update, the Halloween update. We kind of had a lot of fun stuff. Like we made memes. We like some of the most fun memories of like that Christmas time was when like all of the devs, it was like Nazo, Lol that's Derp, me, Cursey, Philly, Justin, we would all hop into VC and we would go into a workspace. I don't know if you remember the splash screen, like the opening like menu splash screen for Christmas. But that took us like 2 hours to make because we had like 12 different scenes going on of like different all the testers doing something kind of goofy and funny. So yeah, so I remember a lot of fun stories of just kind of hanging out with them and doing deaf stuff. But I also remember kind of having funny moments. Like I remember one time Nazo, Justin, and we went into an actual game server, and Nazo had a script that allowed you to like use this kind of like sticky like I don't even know what I would call it. Kind of like a ball. And whenever one of these like spiraling orbs around the ball like touched you, you would get attached to it, but then your torso would also be locked. So then you would fling around the map and it would create this massive spinning ball of like flinging Robloxians. So I thought that was really funny. And like the old dev process was also kind of goofy. So like not Nazo, Osama's like really talented for some reason. He's just extremely talented. So I remember like no one really knows like the specifics, but so when Osama was first making BM2, he he made it to like make the other devs and make his process easier. He more or less made his own framework, aka what I like to call it. He made a scripting Mad Lib puzzle. So what the devs have to do now is more or less it's like Osama spent like 5 hard months just kind of making this extremely complicated uh, framework so that the other devs and him could have an easier life in the future. But like it was funny because he spent so much like time on that he kind of just crashed directly after it, and that's when he took that year-long break. Um, what's another fun story from the dev team that not a lot of people know about? I haven't told anyone outside of the dev team about this, but
Oh, really?
oh no, the story I'm about to tell. The dev team only like two members know about this, but I'm
Oh,
not
okay,
too
okay,
upset.
all right.
I have nothing to really hide. So a while back, so when I started developing, I got hired as an animator. Obviously, I have a lot more stuff that I do now. Like I do model building. I did the current UI. I animated Citadel. I did a lot of taunts. I did a lot of Christmas and Halloween skins. You know, all that fun jazz. You know. So sorry, I'm reading something.
You like jazz?
I like jazz. But so I remember I was like, "Hey, Justin, I wanna contribute to the community because I've been in the Black Magic like community in general since like 2013, 2012. So I've kind of been with these guys for a really long time, and I was like, why not pay back in a way that I can? So I was like, hey, Justin, why don't you persuade Osama to get me hired as a dev? And at the time, I was like, well, I don't know what I can do. So we already have talented model builders. So this one we had Veteran Toaster, QQ Bowl, Bjorn Hub or Silphium. We had Cursey. We had the True Crab. We had Philly Cheese. We had literally a lot of talented model builders. And then obviously we had talented scripters. And I'm not a scripting guy. I can't wrap my head around it to save my life. So I was like, well, what can I do? I mean, asset maker is so vague. And if people don't know what asset maker, it's pretty much everything that like isn't listed. So people that do like UI, people that do decals, people that do sound effects, people that do all that type of stuff is kind of for asset maker. So like Rhythm's an asset maker. Lol that Stirp used to be an asset maker before it became a scripter. I could be technically classified as an asset maker because I made UI, all that jazz. But so I was like, well, I don't know what an asset maker is. So what can I do there? And then I was like,
It's
oh, there's
easy.
only one person.
It's easy.
Huh?
It's just someone who makes assets.
Yeah, true. That is what it is. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I saw animators. I was like, oh, Cursey is the only animator. And at this point in time, I was like, okay, I've never done a Roblox animation in my life, let alone an animation in my life. I've done like 2D flipbook stuff when I was a kid, but obviously I was, it was on one of those notepads and it was with a pencil. I was like, okay, so I'll try to do animating. So I contacted Justin. I was like, hey, Justin, do you think you could get Osama to hire me? Keep in mind, I have not animated a single thing on Roblox ever. Ever, 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 ever. Never. Never once in my life. And I was like, whatever. So I was like, hey, can I get hired for animating? And Justin's like, oh, sure, I can totally give you a good word. Because he was hyped up. He was like, oh, I want my friend to be on the part of the dev team. So I got hired, and I didn't show Osama anything that I did because I didn't have anything. And the first ever animation I did on Roblox was the guitar strumming taunt, like strumming away. And then I showed that to Osama. He's like, okay, cool, whatever. So then that's when I was given Citadel, and then I animated Citadel. Don't tell anybody that that's a thing, because then they'll start to try to come with no experience. But yeah, that's kind of a funny story that I had like no experience before I joined the team. But Cursey mega helped me a lot. He was like my mentor for about like 4 months, so he kind of taught me everything. So that's kind of that's probably the funniest story that I have regarding development.
You see, I've been over the past year wanting to get into scripting, but then again, I have other things I have to learn. I'm going to be starting a whole other thing of education soon, and ultimately, learning all that stuff's going to take a long time. And I always just wanted to start small, some sort of small game, like try and make a clone of Gomoku or something. and then gradually work my way up until I can get into a position where I can, create create animations for just basic moves of things, or because I have a ton of ideas. I have a ton of ideas for things, but I would totally help and try and get hired on the dev team if I actually knew some things, but I don't.
It is what it is. But I mean, I think anybody can do what I do. I just think you need to put the time and effort into it. And it's not a lot of time. It's just I've spent a lot of my time kind of practicing drawing or practicing 3D modeling or practicing animating. Well, not animating that much, but I've practiced doing a lot of things in my own free time. So I think if there's like a thing that you want to like really learn how to do and get good at, like anybody can do it. You just need to kind of put the effort into it. And I can't wrap my head around scripting, but like Lol That Stirp learned from level 0 to become a BM2 dev in 6 months. Tentagram, granted, he's started ever since he was like 10, but you know, and same with Osama. Osama kind of started a long time ago, but I mean, anybody can do what we do. It just requires kind of the drive to do so.
I actually, when Rizm was talking in chat room a bit, he actually said that he's been wanting to make custom music for Black Magic 2.
I think he has talked about it. Right now, he is currently reworking. And this is a big thing for him, which I feel bad because he offered to do it. So obviously, we're going to take that deal. But he offered to remake every single sound in the game, which is a lot. I had to get all the testers to record every single move um, on every single class. And we got to do counter, and we got to do footstep sounds, and we got to do jumping sounds, and air dash, and back dash, or I guess side dash, and back
Make
hop, and
make the footsteps sound barefoot for fan service.
I don't. Maybe some footstep sounds always get to me. I don't know. I think they're just timed really weirdly. So I just like listen to them. I'm like, this isn't right. It doesn't feel right. But it is what it is. If you got any more questions, I'm willing to ask them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since you do have a lot of experience animating and making models, so when exactly did you start accepting drawing commissions? Because I know you do those a lot.
Well, I've kind of started drawing. I'd say like everyone's like, oh well, I've started drawing ever since ever since I was like a child. I was doing sketches, but not really me, because I mean, sure, I did like sketches when I was like a child on like the side of my paper, but it like drawings, it was like stick figures, or it was like something stupid. But then I kind of last year, or not last year, 2 years ago, I was like, hey, why don't I like actually try why don't I actually try to draw well? Why don't I actually try to have a good product and like better myself? And there was a lot of bumpy roads on that route, because I think I something that I did was I tried to rush hard work, which is never good. And then that obviously hit me back in the butt. But so I've started drawing for about how would I like maybe like 2 years, 2.5, 3 maybe. So, but like the commissions is just kind of like a side thing that I do to like my better my art, because like I want to get like better. Well, I think a goal that I have with like art in general is just kind of like I just want to like produce content that I enjoy, not so much other people. Um, just kind of like art that I would like. I look back at, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, you know. So that's kind of my goal. But I've only been kind of drawing for like, how do I put it, 3 years maybe.
Have you ever thought of making a channel as an uploading, speed like sped up processes of drawing commissions?
Um, kinda. Commissions not so much because it wouldn't be that fun to watch. It's kind of boring. I do have a channel. I don't really post on it. I just kind of use it to um, have like a hub to put all my stuff at. Um, and people just kind of tag along and look at it. Um, but I'm working on a video right now. I can screen share it if you want. It'll show a sneak peek. Ooh, sneak peek a video. Ooh, sneak peek. Uh, I'm working on this project. I can't really say what it is too much, but I made a compilation of every single skin with all the facts with BM2 dev stuff, all the price, all that stuff, and I've kind of just been working on that for the past. Well, I started this November. I haven't been constantly working at it, but it shows all like the dev skins. It shows like all the skins that developers have, all the customs, all the unobtainable skins, all like kind of facts about them, where the model came from, where the idea came from, just kind of fun facts about them. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. It's planned to be like an hour and a half long video because I actually this evening I've kind of gotten the spark to kind of work on it again. And I just finished the Avalon segment like an hour and a half ago. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's something to look forward to in the future. I don't usually use the YouTube channel as like a hub for drawings. Although I'm not proud of them. I just kind of did it because at the time I was proud of them. But I have unlisted videos that commissioners have like asked to record me drawing them. So obviously I kind of have a couple of them, just not a lot. So it is what it is.
All right, that's great to hear. And one of the other questions that I want to ask you is about the new game being developed by the people who made Cataclysmic Clash.
What?
Cataclysmic Clash Blazing Resolve is the new 2D fighter that they're developing right now, and it uses PC motion controls, and it also has dedicated servers for matching up people. Have you ever heard of it, or do you have any opinions on it if you've already heard of it?
I don't actually think I'm already. I don't really pay attention to Cataclysmic Clash so much. I think the idea is cool. Personally, I'm a big fan of the community, but I think rival fighting game communities kind of don't like each other that much. But
It doesn't have.
they're fine.
I mean, it doesn't have to
They're
be.
they're no. I know. I'm just saying that like I don't really
When
I don't really
Capcom and SNK were fighting over a lot of stuff in the 90s, when SNK made Art of Fighting, which was a copy of Street Fighter, and then Capcom made Dan Hibiki, which was a copy of Art of Fighting's protagonist Ryo, like they were going back and forth. And then only a couple of years later, they released Capcom versus SNK, in which all the people collabed together, and the hatchet's really buried now, and they don't really do a lot of poking fun at the characters anymore. So that's kind of an example. And speaking of Street Fighter, the Blazing Resolve motion controls are identical to how motion controls are on the Street Fighter PC edition. So you have your WSD keys, right?
okay.
And it's been a while since I played it. U and I is weak punch and heavy punch, and then J and K is the weak
So
kick
it's
and
kind
heavy kick.
of buttons on a fight stick, or I guess like one of those fight keyboards.
And the reason why that really interests me is because, well, for one, that makes it so that it could be compatible on mobile devices and on Xbox. And two, is that it's a really ingenious way to playing because I've heard of a lot of people not really liking the keystroke scheme that much in Cataclysm Clash alone, And I feel like this way of doing the inputs, so like a normally input in Street Fighter, you go down from the up position and you get Hadoken. Well, it's on this one. You have WSD. You do SD really fast, and you need to press the light or heavy punch button, and it does a variation of a projectile attack.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, it is, and they even have super moves. It's just the double down forward motion, and and you can get either one of two supers. So I feel like it has a lot of potential, but right now, Cataclysm Clash doesn't have that. Well, I've never been in the server, but from what I heard, it doesn't have the best reputation right now. Is that true?
Yeah, it is what it is. Um, I think they're nice people. I just think they're kind of young. Granted, BMC also has a lot of young people, but I think BMC has been rooted in it's been like it's like a fine wine because the Black Magic game has been around since who knows how long 2011 2010. So some community members are still even there, like Perry BM or Osama's been here very long. Um, me, well, that's dirt. Uh, a lot of people. Granted, a lot of people have left over time, but I think that like the Cataclysmic Clash Discord is that they're kind of young, which is understandable. But I think in due time they'll eventually kind of like get around to kind of being more respected. Their game is fine. Uh, I think it's all right. Uh, I can't really keystrike that well, but I thought it's a pretty good game. I mean, I'd probably play it to see how it like is because I played all the other like fighting games like the Nell Story demo. I've played Cataclysmic Clash. I've played um what's another fighting game? Souls Combat. I'll probably play Souls Combat like 2 when it ever comes out.
See what you just started to say there when you try and look for other fighting games. That is the potential I am talking about because if they pull this off, if they make a very well crafted 2D fighter from this, then that opens up all these other avenues of 2D Roblox fighting games in the future, which which is something that I wanted to have for a long time because I've been playing Roblox for 7 years, and for the past 2 years, I've really tried to play lots of Street Fighter games, KOF games. I've been trying to really delve myself into the FGC, and once I got bored with Street Fighter 4 last year in April, and I was stuck in quarantine, had no idea what to do. I just Google searched Roblox fighting games, and there was one Reddit post that had a comment of somebody suggesting Black Magic 2. So I'm like, oh, what the heck, I'll try it. We'll just see how it goes. And yeah, that's just basically how I started.
The rest is history. Hmm?
I have no idea who that person was, but thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of. I was never into fight. Like, I mean, I played Street Fighter Five. I played like Blaze Blue, and I played like Dragon Ball Fighters. So like,
I've
I
went back and played every other Street Fighter, but I have not played Street Fighter 5. Actually, no, I have played Street Fighter 5, but only once, and it was when I wasn't really that into fighting games.
I think I wouldn't say it's as like I'd say four is just a lot harder. Street Fighter Five is a lot easier, but I'd say four is like more of an enjoyable experience. But five is just kind of easy.
I've heard in 5 that the links and the execution for combos is a lot easier.
Well, yeah, the minimum. So the minimum link in like Street Fighter Four would be 1 frame. So like you'd have to plink it to like get combos. And if you don't know what plinking is, it's just it's pressing another key with less. How would I put it? Less priority than another key. So then it would like buffer a move, so you could get it the frame right after. But like Street Fighter Five, it does that, but it's instead of 1 frame, it's 3 frames, which might not seem like a lot, but that's a 3 frame window of leniency besides a 1 frame window of leniency. So it is a lot bigger. So that's always a bonus, but it's just kind of your taste. So I mean, if you like the Street Fighter characters more, the Street Fighter Five characters more, you can go ahead. Street Fighter Four definitely has a lot more characters, but Street Fighter Five's
But
characters are more like I wouldn't
I'd
say
s-
diversified, but
I'd
more
say my
fleshed
proudest
out.
accomplishment in the Street Fighter series is in Super Street Fighter 4, which I think I did actually. I completed the hardest difficulty story mode with all characters.
Nice.
And the
Did you get
hardest one had to be probably had to be Chun-Li.
Chun Li's such a funny character. She's a mix between a charge and a quarter circle character. I don't think it's funny. Yeah, it is
Gen
what
did
it is.
that. But not a lot of people played Gen because they thought he was too hard.
Character. Gen probably didn't like him because he was a stance character.
And then Xian won Evo 2013 with him, and all of a sudden there was a resurgence. So
He's a good character, but he's just a stance character, and I don't like stance characters because I can't think too hard. Does not play
looks at
Revenant.
Revenant.
Looks at Revenant. Yeah, it's about to say. I mean, technically, you could also say Virtue's a stance character in that sense, but it is what it is. If you got any more questions, I'm willing to answer them too.
And that's what I feel like. But what I'm right now gonna give you just some opinions on what I think is missing from Black Magic 2 or
Go ahead.
what stuff should be implemented. So priority number one is just going against an AI opponent, or make it so that's like the training mode from the Street Fighter series, as in you can make an opponent be in this position or do this move, so that people who don't have friends or don't have access to private servers can go into a server where there's just an AI opponent or just a dummy that's doing one move, and you can practice doing combos in response to it or trying to punish a move that you have trouble punishing.
Yeah, I think like kind of having like a dummy to like I wouldn't say that replicating moves would be that easy. I mean, maybe you might be able to have like a slider or whatever, but I mean maybe we have an AI script technically because we made it for the tutorial. And we tried to make an AI a PVE game mode for Halloween last year. We have all the models for like the PVE enemies, but we never like finished it because that was when Nazo left, and we were kind of bummed out that he left, so we never continued it. But I think an AI game mode is a good idea. We just or like an AI like in general is just a good idea. But I wouldn't. I'm not exactly sure how we would implement it.
And the second thing that I would like to see, and this is regarding the class that I'm known for, Assailant, is that I would just like it if Assailant only had just a little bit of its launcher invincibility back, because even though it
Yeah,
was a crutch for me, I still loved using it because it was more flexible. But right now it
it's
loses to
annoying.
pretty much every move
Anti-air. Oh yeah, I know. Well, I'll think about
because
it when we're
there's
doing like
Kurai
the.
because there's Kurai launcher that is very fast in frames and can practically beat almost every move. Cell launcher
Which
has super
is
armor. Virtue's launcher can launch from a distance but doesn't do any damage. Revenant's launcher may be the worst out of the bunch, but I feel like Assailant should just have a little bit of invincibility only on startup, so that it can be more flexible and combat
you
more in the
get
neutral.
here. Yay! Yeah,
So because I'm saying it shouldn't be an invincible anti. I'm just saying it should be invincible on startup.
yeah. I mean, he is a assailant was meant to be a Shoto character, so it makes sense to
I've heard I've
have an
heard
invincible team.
I've heard stories of that his original launcher was the kicks that Yun does in Street Fighter.
Yeah, the double kick. We went through a lot of kind of old stuff. We old like assailant SB8 was supposed to be. I think it's called Sato 90, Nato 90. I forgot the name of it. It was a move from an anime character that had this like big black box. Forgot the name of it though. Um, but that was something that we like the that was also like an idea that we kind of asked the testers and the community what they wanted to see more. So assailant launcher used to be like a double kick, yeah. Uh, but now it's obviously not that. It's a what would you call it? Like yeah, an uppercut, like kind of like a shoryu. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, well, having a DP is a good idea, but we just need to kind of like, how do I put it? Uh, you know, test it out, see, because it used to have a DP and it used to be really good. Because assailant launcher it's very vertical, it's really fast, and making it invincible would also kind of give it a lot of power as well. And granted, I do play assailant a lot as well, and I'm always upset when the supposed anti-air move doesn't anti-air. I'm like, dang it, why am I can't play my video game because my anti-air doesn't work. But
What I think is really funny is that Citadel has the sort of pseudo Shoryu move that either Ryu or Dan has, but it's not
yeah,
an assailant for some reason, which just really puzzled me. And the suit I'm talking
well,
about is the super armor.
yeah, obviously, I think it's just because like we I guess it would just be because I don't know. I don't know why we thought about that. I think because we made Citadel what's it called? Or like Assailant how do you call it? Assailant launcher used to actually be an actual like super armored anti-air. We just kind of like removed it. But it is what it is. I think I guess it would just be like yeah, we'll probably make it in the future. It's just kind of hard to think of like what we would like do. Um, but I think it is. It could probably come in the future.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just talk about
Maybe
some.
not. Maybe not.
I'm not just gonna talk some miscellaneous stuff that you might be able to fill me in on, which and one of them is probably my favorite glitch that happened to me of all time, which was about 8 months ago, and it was actually one of the videos I posted, which was let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, it was this one. So what happened is that if you SP 5'd or if you SP 1'd at the correct time when you're at the range of an Avalon SP4 and the execution can take place, the game didn't register that you were actually dead and actually still showed you as alive. So
See that.
when that
Well, it would
happened,
register too
you're just
soon.
the headless horseman running around, and you could just do anything you wanted from there until the game eventually recognized that
Like
there was a specific amount of time before your health was zero, and then sends you back to the lobby. And back then, we had no idea what this was. We were freaking out because it was scary.
it was a funny bug. Yeah.
And another thing I want to talk about is the I don't know how to describe it actually.
Is it
Okay,
like another?
it's a bug. Yeah. So it was something about back when jump buffer used to exist.
The devious move.
So I started when nearly every good player was using that move, and
Yeah.
that was back when, because I don't think I was because I don't I was present when Kurai still had the infinite combo. And what
Yeah.
was the so what was the little thing in the corner that they find out why jump buffer even existed in the first place?
Right? What do you mean?
Like what did they find that made jump buffer possible in game? Or do you not know?
Well, I think the reason why jump buffer is now not in the game anymore is because we made jump an actual move. It's like an actual move in the framework. So that's why jump now has lag, which I know it feels really weird. Um, but it what's it called? It's like that because jump buffer wasn't a mechanic that was supposed to be in the game. It was a glitch, or as the world famous, Kusakage said, it was tech. So, and it was useful in a lot of scenarios, like jump buffer, assailant launcher, or all that shiz nasty. Uh, but
I'm actually surprised you said his name.
is it like foreign in here?
No, it's not really foreign. Just
It's
if I could give my honest opinion, since that I'm I'm still in the server, and it's it was just really heartbreaking because the community, even though it had all its quirks, like they nearly put everything into this. 5 tournaments for nearly over half a year, and including you were one of them before you all know what happened, and then they went to Sickness Awaits, and then something bad happened there, and now I basically hold what was basically left of RBT, which is the cutting edge tournament series. But I hold no hate towards Kusakage. I feel like every human on this earth has the opportunity to learn and move past mistakes, and they can
yeah.
change their ways. So I hold no grudge towards him, and in time I will and in time I have already found or will find the time to forgive him for the things that he's done if he comes to the conclusion that what he has done has hurt people and it has made him into what he is. But as of now, I'm just going to keep silent. I'm not going to really go into it that much.
I think that makes sense too. It's just like it's better to just kind of like lay low on that than actually like
Yeah, it was a different time. It was a different place.
yeah. It's funny remembering it. It's been a while since I've talked about RBT or like or whatever. But yeah, I mean it is what it is. I don't really hold a grudge against that guy. He's kind of poopy sometimes, but aren't we all kind of poopy sometimes? But yeah, I mean, pretty much, I actually didn't know about the what was the other thing that you called it? Like
Sickness
cutting
Awaits.
edge.
It was called Sickness
I've
Awaits.
never
It
heard of
was
that.
a so it was made as a pseudo replacement for RBT, made up of the former competitors or the moderators, and it was going for, I would say, 2 tournaments
Oh
there
really?
was before there was infighting with the moderators and the owners, in which everything just went batshit, and there was just a bunch of flood, a bunch of everything everywhere. The server was practically destroyed for a couple seconds. So at that time, when everything was going to hell, me, I think Mazo, Niz, Dusk, and Niktoic, I think. Yeah, those people, we all banded together, and my tournament server, which was small at the time, which I had about 10 or 13 members. There was almost a mass migration into there, from the people who used to go to Cygnus Awaits, because lots of people just left. A lot of people just left because everything was going to hell. And the main perpetrators of one of them was Zora Atsuko, and I don't remember the other person that did it, but they don't do it anymore. I actually, during that day after he did it, and after he got banned, and after they had to purge all the messages, I had a talking DM to Zora, and it was really interesting because his reasoning for doing what he did, which was basically just disobeying all the rules, and because no one was moderating, and the owner had left, which was which is Mercurius, because again, back to when Dev speak, these people have lives. Like, just because someone's not around doesn't mean you don't get to follow the rules, and that's exactly what he did. So I had to talk to him about a 45-minute long conversation just to calm his nerves down and get it into his head that this is wrong and he shouldn't have done it. And he kept giving me all these reasons that are really not applicable and were really not appropriate for that time, which was including
I didn't.
sending. What'd you say?
I know. I was just saying that it's kind of like he was trying to cover, like he was trying to keep his pride in it. So like he was like, "Oh, I'm not a bad guy. Just uh,
But
like
but
I
he
was, whatever you call it. Like I was with, he was like, oh well, I was justified because yada yada yada.
I
I was
don't think
justified because
I don't think spamming gifs of Bahungas in the chat constitutes as a good guy.
mangas.
But I remember when Bahungas was a thing we all used to say. I remember that in chat room. That was a hilarious time. There was so many Bahunga jokes. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Uh,
Mangas.
so Zora eventually realized what he was doing and apologized for it, even though he was still banned from the server because he almost broke every rule. And then Sickness has probably been quiet for a long, long time. Apart from when Haichi did his Haichi tournament, which was streamed and it was a good success. But even though,
Tournaments in the high.
but
It's
even
so funny.
though, what'd you say?
Go ahead, my bad. I interrupted you.
So even though that tournament was
You
a
can
success,
go.
what'd you say?
I know. I said you can go ahead. I think I'm lagging a little bit.
So since that tournament was a success, there has been plans to make another, but it's kind of fallen off during these past months, and SA really hasn't been to the activity that it had been earlier in 2020. And since then, apart from the stuff that my fellow BM tuber Wasili does, well, with his tournaments, for everyone else who was in RBT and was in Cygnus Awaits, I'm the only sort of tournament server that's left, and I was given all these players and all these attention by complete accident. So I had to learn from it, and I had to institute all the rules. I had to get all these bots on the server, and right now we've had about 5 tournaments. One of them was a holiday team up tournament, and the people who have won them so far, we have a dedicated championship section. Death Servant, Quiteberry, Bacalo, Mercurinus Miracles, and Hearted Oni for the team up event, and I Mr. Mans.
Nice. I know all of them. Pretty cool gamers, pretty cool guys, pretty cool gals. So it's funny that you know more like all about these these tournaments. After RBT, after I won the RBT, I kind of just like, I was like, I'm done with it. I'm not good enough.
Yeah,
I'm not good at the
and
game anymore.
and what's really sad to see in the BMC now is that because I have nothing against these people who still have a bad taste in their mouths from what Tsukage's done, and since he was the founder of RBT, people are less than excited to have either an unofficial tournament server for BM2 get popular, or just having an official tournament altogether in the game. But even though it has been ruled out multiple times because people said the game's still in alpha, there's still stuff to fix, but the reason that I want to go to those tournaments in the first place is because I want to have a sense of the competitive FGC, and that's kind of where it all started from there.
I mean, I think just a fighting game in general should be like have a competitive background because it brings people together. Like I wouldn't have known a lot of people in the like community without being an RBT. granted, like I didn't really like stay in the community that long, but like I met some of my good friends now and there. So it's like I think a fighting game like competitive background is always good, and it's always you just I think you just have to like structure it well. So like RBT was structured really well. It was just the unfortunate event that the moderators and the owners were just kind of off the goop, as you would say. But I mean, as it seems now, I mean, like it seems like what you're doing and what the other BM2 YouTuber is, like you said, is doing is it sounds like it's a very more constructive, more like uplifting and better just for like the community because uh, it's kind of like something that people can show off their skill while also having a fun time and doing fun
Yeah,
events and
exactly like that. We're trying to make it back into the, you know, whoever is welcome,
the
you're welcome. You can join. You can join if you want, and there isn't really that much of a competitive edge to these things because there aren't that many big prizes on the line. There isn't any huge sort of clout you're going to get. It's just a place where you can fight seriously, have a fun time doing it, and know some people along the way. And that's what we're trying to make. We're trying to make BM2 tournaments today.
it's I mean it seems like a cool thing. Although I'm not good at the game anymore. I mean I would. I'm just
You
I'm
beat
not
my ass
like
pretty easily.
I mean I was like how many months ago like 5?
Let me check. Nope, 6.
Well, still, my point still stands. I'm not what I ever used to be. All the changes kind of just gotten to me. I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not too upset. I think the game is it's
Not used to the
uh,
speed a soul gives me.
wow. That's not what I was saying at all. I'm not bad at Assault Dash sucks, by the way. Like unironically, it sucks.
It can
Make
be
sure you
it
do
can
it.
be applicable in some situations though.
Yeah, in some, but like I'd rather have backdash. Please, thank you. Backdash and
I
backdash
don't
right.
think they're gonna. Personally, I would not bring back backdash because
What?
it was fun to have for a while, but the the general people who complained about it was that it was a free exit to a lot of pressure because it was invincible and it created space between the opponent, which I feel like they fixed when they introduced side dashing and the back hop because
The only
now
thing
you
with
have
side dash, the thing about back hop that was kind of decent was that you couldn't cancel into moves. Side dash you can, so you have sure you don't have full invincibility, have invincibility and the capability of how do you call it? Uh, like you have like the availability of what uh can't even think of what I'm talking about. You have the availability of like canceling. So like an example would be like very horizontal based moves. You can side dash into a very like sword LAC on Revenant. It's very horizontal based. So if you whiff it, you can side dash and use it again, and it'll still connect. So I think it's like
people. I've seen some people in chat room get very pissed off at that because either
I
they
mean,
don't know how to punish it or fall for it every time.
because Revenant kills me, girl. Although Revenant is really good.
So what
There's
if
no reason.
is the rumor about Revenant's SP1, its air SP1 not being able to combo true?
What? No. No. What the heck? Who told you that?
Cryo lied.
Brian's not a dev. Why are you listening to him? He says he's like, oh yeah, I'm the
I
assailant
told
and
you.
the
I told you it was a rumor. I didn't believe it.
yeah. You should have. You shouldn't believe it. You shouldn't believe what Cryo says. He's a cool guy. It's just he's wrong. We're not making it non-comboable. That's stupid because it's a combo extender. That's literally what it is.
Because what my fix for Rev SP1 because just everyone hates it is to either lower the outward stretching hitbox or just decrease the amount of hits done it gives. Because because in some matchups I've seen, because I've played a lot of revs and ranked, when you hit someone with SP1, but then you also hit you also hit the rev that's doing it. But by the time they recover from their hit stun and the SP1 hit stun, or if they land an SP1 far away and then whiff a move accidentally, they still have enough time to go over there and come away because the hit stun lasts for so long.
Yeah, it's a long hit stun. Um, I think from what I've heard or like what I've been kind of like planning, is that I'm not gonna really nerf it that much, or we're not gonna nerf it really that much, because it's not like that bad of a move. It's just we're thinking is that it's really strong for what it is and what class it's on. So we were kind of thinking of either making it so it doesn't fall. It's kind of just an anti-air only. And sure, you can be like, but he uses it
Really?
right before he goes. So it kind of like locks you in the air, kind of like how an air heavy would do. Or we make it so the scaling is A instead of B, so it does 400 damage if you hit it in the air, which is good.
It does what?
Yeah, 400. And then the
Okay,
thing is,
just so I'm not taking crazy pills, 400 damage is like 40%, right?
on Avalon and Virtue, it's 50%.
Continue.
Yeah, Revenant be like, well, just
Ass-
go
ass-
shoot.
assailants just
Walk.
assailants just
Let me grab.
SB4 spacing dash dash dash, come on, punish, and like Revenant just presses one button like, all right, let's go.
Why are you so bad? Why are you so bad? It's just skill issue. That's what. It's like, no, it's not a skill issue. You're just cringe.
It's a feature, guys.
no,
I'm just way too swag for this game.
Any Revenant players, although I will kill you.
But
It's like, yeah, it is what it is. But
yeah, the last thing I want
we're
to talk
playing-
about, the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that the people who are either getting sick of Revenant Kurai and want to change it up a bit. I've seen more Assailant players than ever before, which is really nice.
It is a fun class. I don't know. I mean,
It's
what are
it's
you gonna
it's
say?
balanced. That's why nobody plays it.
Wow, yeah. Unfortunately.
That's something that Merc said in chat room, because he was raging about it in ranked because he lost some like 500 ELO because he just wanted to play Assailant.
What a sad man. You can only play the free Elo class in ranks. You should know that.
I mean, not really. I mean, I have 2,500 ELO on just Assailant alone, and people have been rooting on me to get diamond with Assailant only, but like I don't know, man.
Yeah,
When it gets to that point where you go against like these careful play styles or hard zoners, it just gets really difficult to get wins consistently.
yeah.
So that's
I bet you do it.
Yeah.
It seems possible.
yeah, basically. So yeah, if that's okay with you, I think we should just end the podcast right here. It was a great deal talking to you tonight.
Last minute questions, I'm totally down to answer those.
No, I'm out of I'm out, and it's and I've already hit the. I think it was a good time for this episode.
Okay, cool. I mean, it was nice talking to you. It was nice answering your questions.
Hope everyone So I hope everyone liked listening to Budoti, and leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next episode.
Oh, you should also bully everybody. Haha.